Mike Fratello joins me to talk Timberwolves halfway through this adversity-laden season, we'll call it. What's a realistic expectation for this young team?
This was a team who was just starting to find its way. 5-3 in their last 8 games. One of their 2 young stars has been playing out of his mind lately, and that's Karl-Anthony Towns. The last game, both young guys, Wiggins and Towns, go for 28 points apiece. When you look at their roster, it's kind of an interesting blend. You have 7 players with 5 years or less experience. Then at the other end of the spectrum, you have 4 players with 9 and 10 years of experience. But let's face it, obviously their future is Karl-Anthony Towns and Wiggins. They've played exactly the same number of home and away games. They have 21 home left, 21 away left, as they take this 19-21 record. And yeah, they're not in the playoffs as it was tonight, but they're only 2 games out of the 8th spot. So Ryan coming in, taking over for Tibbs, he's got a tough assignment here because now you've got to get these guys to buy in. And without knowing how much involvement he's had with these young guys, I would think he's had a lot of time with them in development, that type of thing. They know he's a basketball guy. He's done their scouting reports and preparation for them for a couple of years now. I would think that they would give him a lot of respect. He's got Ed Pinckney, Malik Allen alongside of him to help him out, and that's their job, to help this young man out. He's got an interesting challenge in front of him.
Well, you mentioned if the playoffs were to start today, they would be on the outside looking in. But because of the parity in the Western Conference through the first 40 games this season, is a playoff push realistic?
I think it's realistic, but obviously the key is health, injuries. Can they go through the second part of the season without any seriously long stretches of key guys being out? Get Covington involved, get Saric involved with this team since the trade took place. If Towns keeps playing like he's playing, that's a huge plus for a young guy coming in when you got a guy who's averaging over 28 points a game for the last 8 games.
Well, you mentioned the split right down the middle with home games and away games, and the next 8 games actually look exactly like that as well. They're split at home and on the road, starting with tomorrow night's matchup at OKC, before they then return to Minnesota to host the Mavericks and the Pelicans this weekend, a couple of teams that are also vying for playoff position.
If I was a head coach stepping in, okay, an interim coach, I would have picked a little bit different opponent than Oklahoma City for my first game to break in.
Yeah.
But welcome to the NBA.
Yeah, surprise. Yeah. Welcome. All right, well, I'm going to head over to the other side of the court, and we're going to talk a little bit about, well, the flip side of this matchup, the Oklahoma City Thunder, with our Hall of Fame head coach, Kevin McHale. Coach, when you look at what's made the Thunder successful thus far this season, we talk, of course, a lot about the statistical performances that Russell Westbrook has put up in an MVP caliber season, but let's talk about Paul George and their defensive prowess.
Yeah, I like Paul George. Paul George is really playing well right now. He's at the level where everybody even defers to him. Even Russell Westbrook, when Paul gets going, they give him the ball and let him create shots for himself. And at late in games, they're giving the ball to Paul to finish out games for him. So I like him. But what I really like about OKC is their defense. You know, there's a couple things that they do. They lead the league in deflections. You know, so they're long and they get out in the passing lanes. And you're seeing right now Paul George knock down shots. And, you know, their ability to defend, though, is what got me excited. They get their hands on lots of balls, whether it be deflections, block shots, and it turns the points really quickly. They have Steven Adams in the middle that can really control the paint. And, you know, he's going to bump and bruise you as you see these guys get steals galore. And big Steven Adams holds down the paint. And then they can switch a lot of stuff. I like the teams that can switch. They not only switch, they switch to deny. So as picks come down, they get up and they deny the passes. That's why they have so many deflections. So I'm more excited about their defense this year than of anything else. I haven't really bought into OKC the last couple of years. They're just impossible for me to like. They play so well, then they play so bad at times. They're just up and down. But their defense right now has got me believing that they could really make a playoff run. You can beat people in this league with defense if you're dedicated and doing it. Now, I know it's an offensive league, but you can go out there and they have the type of athletes that can get out, deny, and play really good defense on the perimeter.
Well, you're exactly right. We've spent the last couple of seasons, and especially last season, talking about when the Thunder were going to find their way. It was a team that was inconsistent to have so much talent on its roster. Do you see anything apart from its defensive consistency as the reason why they could be contenders this season in the West?
Yeah, I think that they can bring in and play Schroeder alongside of Westbrook, and I think that just gives them a unique ability. Westbrook can come off picks, get off the ball, Schroeder can handle the ball. He can get his own offense, but he can also distribute. And I just think less is more. I think, Carmelo there, everybody was trying to figure out how to play with each other. Carmelo leaves that, opens up more opportunity for Paul George. And as I said when we started this segment, they believe in Paul George. They give him the ball late. They let him close games. Westbrook is deferring to him. And Russell Westbrook doesn't defer to many people, and he's deferring to him. And again, I just think that less is more for this team. But I believe in them, as I said earlier. I believe in them because of their defense. I like the way they D up.
Well, you just said it. Russ may not defer to many people, but he has become more of an offensive facilitator when you look at his numbers this season as opposed to the last couple. What has impressed you most about his play?
Well, he hasn't been shooting the ball well this year. But that's the thing I like, is you can control the game. I always said you're really not a basketball player if the only way you can control the game is by scoring. Then you know what you are? You're a scorer.
Right.
If you're a basketball player, you can control the game and score 10, 12 points. I mean, assist, rebound, defend, do all of these things. And, Westbrook's a basketball player. And that's why I really like the guy. So he's not shooting the ball well. He hasn't been in great rhythm. He started off with knee surgery, missing training camp and all that stuff. But I like the fact that he's kind of coming out, testing the water a little bit on some shots. And if he's not hitting it, he's just playing the game. There's many, many ways to win a basketball game. It's not all about, can I get 35 points? And Westbrook can affect the game defensively, offensively, rebounding, a lot of different ways. He's such a unique, powerful guard in this league, like the likes we haven't seen. He's unique, and I like the way he's playing on the defensive end particularly.
Well, come with